Hello and welcome to Equine Science Talk, Understanding Equine Science. Today we're talking about wolves and whether wolves represent a threat to horses. We're going on a trip to Italy, where wolves never became extinct and still live in the wild, and where farmers as well as horse owners have to live alongside them. We'll be looking at the wolf from the point of view of scientists studying the role the wolf plays in the ecosystem, the farmers, horse owners and breeders who often lose livestock to wolves, and the land management authorities who have to balance the risk against the benefit that wolves bring to their national parks. Professor Sandro Lovari is an expert in wolf ecology and behavior and says wolves can attack a wide range of prey, including horses.
Of course, since the wolf is a large predator, it can attack any ungulate of the size of the red deer. Even bigger than that, because in North America they also attack bisons. So horses are well inside the size of wolf prey. It has to be a group of wolves attacking in a coordinate way, which is sometimes not necessary if there are other more accessible prey available to the wolf.
This is the reason why wolves in the Italian mountains tend to be selective about which animals they attack, and they have particular strategies.
Large horses are not usually attacked, but small ones and foals are. There are packs of wolves that are specialised in hunting game, and other packs that specialise in farm animals.
Native cattle in the Maremma region defend their young very well. If a bear or a pack of wolves attack a group of cows, they put their young in the middle and defend them. Mares try to protect their foals, but they give up quickly, so newborn foals that can't keep up with the other horses become easy prey.
Our horses live in groups, but if the mares aren't careful, wolves kill their foals.
Wolves usually attack early in the morning or late in the evening, or sometimes overnight. During the day, they're less aggressive.
They also prefer to attack when it's pouring with rain. 50 to 60 foals were killed in the early part of this year.
In the national park, 128 cattle, 38 equids, or rather horses, and 422 sheep and goats were killed in 2017.
That's a heavy burden on the farmers and horse owners, and is compounded by the fact that wolves often kill more animals than they eat, so-called surplus killing. Wolves may break into a pen of sheep and kill all of them, but only eat a few. This is in fact behavior common to most predators, even humans. People who hunt for sport are not killing because they are hungry, and cat owners are familiar with their pets killing mice and birds, despite having a full bowl of fresh food available to them. When it comes to the farm animals killed by wolves, in theory the Italian government pays compensation for the losses. But it is often only a very small amount, and it can be difficult to claim. For example, one may have to prove that the loss was due to wolves, or that the animals were sufficiently protected. But it is often unclear what sufficient means. Maria did not receive any compensation for the dozens of foals she lost this year.
Ci sono dei risarcimenti al momento.
At present, compensation is generally paid for wolf attacks on any domestic or farm animals, including horses, but it varies a great deal from region to region. Within the national parks, compensation is guaranteed, but in other areas it's not so clear-cut, and it depends a lot on the local government.
The level of risk depends to a large extent on the ecology of the surrounding area, and livestock are not necessarily the wolf's first choice.
If farm animals aren't sufficiently protected, they're attacked by wolves. However, wolves can hunt game in the forest with very little risk to themselves, so generally wolves prefer to hunt game.
Around us there's very little game, and even in the forest game is rare. We don't leave sheep and goats alone in the mountains at night. We bring them down to the valley in the evening where there are fences to protect them. But the cows and horses stay up in the mountains on their own all year round.
As we mentioned earlier, wolves almost went extinct in Italy. And in the 1970s, there were only about 100 to 150 left in the whole country. And they were concentrated in the Abruzzo and Calabria regions. This meant that farmers became complacent about the risks.
They took the habit, as they have in the Alps, for example, to leave the livestock, in particular sheep, unattended for 1 week or 10 days up in the mountains. Mm-hmm. Of course, when the wolf comes over, he finds a restaurant with nobody to ask for the bill. So, you have to use prevention, and this prevention is very poor in Italy. And one system is not enough. You have to use more so that the decrease of damage will be more substantial. So guard dogs, for example, are often advocated as the best way to decrease wolf attacks. Guard dogs by themselves are not enough, because if you leave your sheep outside during the night or even during the day with only guard dogs may not be numerous enough or aggressive enough to decrease the probability of attacks by the wolf. Wolves are very good fighters, they are very clever animals, so they can act in such a way to distract the attention of dogs, and then maybe one of the wolves will go and catch a lamb or something like that. So, I mean, you need more than one measure, conservation measure or management measure, to be really effective.
So, what measures are we talking about, and how well do they work in practice?
In Abruzzo there are no regulations for the horses, but the National Park recommends that foals be kept in stables for the first few weeks of their lives for their safety.
When animals are here in the valley, they're guarded by the shepherd and guard dogs. The Abruzzo National Park also helps by providing electric fences for farm animals. We use dogs that are specifically bred to protect against wolves. For us, this is completely normal. We couldn't function with our sheep if it weren't for the guard dogs.
But not everyone agrees.
Guard dogs don't help at all. The use of guard dogs to protect horses in the mountains is just a pretext, and it doesn't work. Our horses split themselves into, let's say, 10 different groups. The dogs stay with one group, and when the other groups wander off, they're attacked by wolves. We have 2 guard dogs and around 300 horses.
However, if the ratio of guard dogs to animals is right, dogs can be a very useful protection.
We use Maremmano Abruzzese, the big white guard dogs. They're always with the animals. They protect the sheep and the horses as well. We prefer this breed in Abruzzo. In the national park we call the project Lama Bianca, the white weapon. Maremmano Abruzzese, the white weapon. A few years ago, the Abruzzo National Park started a project called Lama Bianca, the White Weapon, with a life sponsorship to support the use of guard dogs to protect the animals. The dogs are bought, trained and passed on to shepherds in the areas where there are large numbers of wolves.
When there's the correct number of guard dogs for the number of sheep, the level of protection is very good. A flock of around 300 sheep needs to be accompanied by around 10 guard dogs. Then they're hardly ever attacked.
So what about the relationship between humans and wolves? Are people potential prey? 200 years ago, when wolves were much more common, people feared them. We can see this embedded in folklore with stories such as Little Red Riding Hood, and the mythology portraying wolves and wolf-like creatures as evil and aggressive, going back to ancient Greece and earlier. Today, especially in Europe, we have generally lost our fear of wolves, And providing the wolves have enough small prey, they are unlikely to attack, but that doesn't mean the risk is no longer there.
I'd say that adults generally have no problem at all with wolves. On the rare occasions that a wolf encounters an adult person, the wolf runs away. But of course, a child should not be alone in the forest without supervision.
In recent years, we've seen that a few packs in the mountains have lost their fear of people, but they still don't attack.
I don't think any intervention is necessary, as long as the wolves stay in the forests and people don't interfere in the natural process. For example, by feeding the wolves and their cubs so that they lose their respect for people.
That is a hotly debated topic, because if wolves are gradually losing their fear of humans, the concern is that they will eventually start to attack. All animals that are not threatened by humans will eventually lose their fear. For example, wild boar have become so tame in parts of Europe that they can now be found in parks in the center of Rome, Berlin and many other cities. So, what's the solution? Should the ban on hunting wolves be lifted?
Wolves are protected, they can't be hunted. But yes, if it was allowed, of course it would help the sheep farmers.
I wonder whether by now in Europe we should still continue to think in terms of protection or rather to management. A litter can be of up to 10 cubs. Out of 10 cubs, maybe only 5 or 6 will survive, but still it's a great number. So at every reproductive season you more than double the size of the local group of wolves. And this is the reason why the wolf is so successful all over the world, because it is the mammal with the largest natural distribution of all mammals. There is only the red fox, which is a runner-up. One should consider that sometime, sooner or later, depending on the place, the wolf will have to be controlled. I don't say hunted. Hunted is a different verb. And you can do a lot of damage by hunting wolves, because you can disrupt the pack and you can actually accentuate the damage to livestock. So one should think in terms of control, and control is a technical operation which should be done by people who know what they are doing. The protection of the wolf makes sense exactly as the protection of any other animal species which is at risk deserves protection.
In addition to the need to protect the wolf as a species, we also need to consider the benefit wolves bring to the region where they help to maintain the balance of nature.
As a top predator, it regulates other levels of the ecosystem. So it can regulate wild population, for example, wild boar population and deer population.
Proprio perché non c'è quella selezione.
Wolves also mostly dispose of sick and dead animals, and if they find a dead animal, they eat it. Their super-efficient digestive system destroys so many pathogens that the chances of other animals being infected are greatly reduced.
And finally, wolves have an important economic value.
Nowadays, I think that, for example, ecotourism is very important, for example, in mountainous area. And the presence of a species like the wolf or the bear can attract a lot of tourists.
We're always getting visitors from France, especially photographers. They love to have the opportunity to photograph the wolves in the wild. So yes, the wolves are a blessing for tourism. The wolves are a great tourist attraction for the national park. People come to see the animals, and as predators, bears and wolves belong to the spectrum of natural animal populations. In recent years, we've had a very stable pack of wolves here that are easy to photograph. That attracts the interest of visitors, not just for the wolves, but for the whole park.
So in short, there is impressive broad agreement in Italy between the scientists, the land management officials and many farmers that the wolves are welcome. And while there may be different opinions on the best way to manage the threat to domestic and farm animals, everyone agrees that the wolves are part of fully functional ecosystems and should remain so. I hope you have enjoyed our short trip into the wolf country of Italy and that you now share our fascination for the complex issue of wolf preservation and management and our desire to ensure that humans, domestic animals and wolves can coexist in harmony. Do click the link to subscribe to Equine Science Talk channel and check out our other videos of all aspects of equine science.